area.
That's a so small camera shot. Well, yeah, we're just looking for a nice tight camera shot so they can see everybody behind the scenes. Yeah. You're too far out. They don't see it.
Going great.
What's up, Doc? You doing all right? Good. Okay, I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to kick it off and give it to Emily, and then you're going to introduce somebody.
I'm going to introduce Faith.
Faith.
So
Okay.
talk about why mental health is passionate to him as well.
Okay. Okay, great. And I'm going to come back up and introduce Amanda, and then Lauren.
Yep, and I'll bring up Renisha.
Okay. And then after that.
Ellie and Jasmine.
Okay. And then after that, Lamont. Everybody know Mr. Collins here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you don't, then ask somebody. No, that's right.
And then the real young prodigies, are they here?
So, yes, there's only two because they're
Okay.
testing. Yeah,
Okay.
the other kids are testing.
Great. Okay. All right, ready? Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for being with us here today to announce a new event organized by some key leaders in the city's mental health sector. Boy, that pandemic was not over, but hopefully the worst of it's over. But as we learned during the pandemic, mental health is not discussed often enough. But we know that it's all essential to our well-being. Everybody has mental health. And the question is, where is it on the scale? But everybody's experienced some type of anxiety before, depression in their life. So the question is, how do we address it and how do we deal with it? And mental health is as important as physical health, right? I mean, if you can't be thinking straight and you're not feeling good about yourself, then you're not optimally performing. So mental health determines obviously how we face our daily life, and how we're feeling mentally affects our decision making, how we handle stress, how we perform, how we communicate with one another. The list just goes on and on. It's with us all the time. There's a bigger issue too. We think about us individually, but think about the collective trauma that we've experienced together over these last couple years in particular. The pandemic, protests, gun violence, the war in Ukraine. I mean, there is a lot to take in these days. So it's not normal, so to speak. And so that's only natural that it impacts everybody one way or another. There's great loss that's taken place. Think about during the pandemic when people passed away and we couldn't attend funerals, or we had an elder relative or an elder friend in a nursing home and we couldn't be there when they passed away. That's really hard on everybody. And so processing this grief is something that takes a long time and was not addressed in a, quote, normal manner during the depths of the pandemic. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month, but obviously we should be raising awareness about mental health all year round, 24/7. But it seems like, and especially from older generations, maybe not that old, but some people are hesitant to talk about mental health. And for some reason, there's a stigma associated with that that's unnecessary and unhelpful as well. People are afraid of appearing weak. I'm not feeling good, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, whatever it might be, as opposed to saying, okay, I need to share this with somebody. Because what we know is that people are not alone when they're struggling with their mental health, or they're just not feeling at optimum performance. So in my mind, people are not weak when they share mental health battles. I think it's both the smart thing to do and the brave thing to do, not just for yourself, but then what you're going to find is other people are going to say, well, let me tell you what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling right now. So it's a liberating moment for many folks. So if you're struggling with issues like grief, depression, and anxiety, you can bet that you are not alone with these battles. Those feelings, too, I want to emphasize, are totally normal, especially with what we have gone through on these past couple years. It's been very, very difficult. So it's just normal, again, for people to say, I'm just not quite feeling like the way I want to feel. When you take this out to its worst manifestation, In 2020, in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, more than 800 people died by suicide. And last year, just in Jefferson County alone, more than 150 people took their own life. And the number for 2022 has already surpassed 50, so we're about on the same pace as last year. And I don't know if you're like me, if you'd had friends that committed suicide, and you just say, gosh, if I could have just been there, if we could have just had that conversation, because it's never as bad as you think it might be. But you have to have somebody there to work through that with you. So all this is really important for us as a community to progress through. And that's why we are here today to announce Louisville's first ever Mindfest event. It's a mental health festival, and I love that it's a festival, right? It's not a clinic, it's not an event, it's a festival that will take place May 21st from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. right here at Roots 101 African American History Museum. Let's hear it for the Mindfest. Come on. So today with us, we have the Mindfest team to talk more about the event that is aimed to reduce the stigma of mental health and connect people with resources. First, I want to introduce Emily Elizabeth, co-founder of Mindfest and the host of the Wandering Mind podcast. She's going to tell us what sparked the idea for Mindfest. Emily?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. So Mindfest started with the idea surrounding the fact that for so long I had struggled with ADHD, depression, and anxiety and felt very alone in the process. I mean, as young as elementary school is when I was struggling with this. And it's been an ongoing journey. And finally, I got to a place in my mental health journey where I was comfortable. I was feeling much better. And I had this inspiration as I was listening to a bunch of podcasts at the time. And I was like, I think I want to start my own podcast, and I want to share what I've learned and continue to learn and let people know that it's okay to struggle. It's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to talk about it. And so the Wandering Mind podcast was born 2 years ago. I actually launched the first episode on my birthday, which was scary, but also very exciting. And that's how I met Amanda Villavases, who's the founder of Mental Health Louisville. And through her guidance and networking with her, I met Faith and Randy Woodford, who actually came up with the name Mindfest. And together we kind of collaborated on this idea that came to me where I thought, now I have the podcast and everyone else that I've met is doing such amazing things here in the community. Let's let people know what they're doing. Let's let people know about these amazing mental health organizations that are doing this work, but not many people know about. So I pitched it to Faith and I pitched it to Amanda and Randy, and they were 100% on board. And a year later, here we are, and Mindfest is happening next week. And we've also have the rest of our team who's joined us through additional networking and meeting each other through, Faith and Amanda and everything. But we're just so thrilled. And so it all started with just talking about what I'd been through and community. So, yeah, thank you. Faith, do you want to talk about it?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Faith Owens. My name is FAIF, and that stands for anyone in fear. You always have faith. That's a name that I created. I'm a musical artist from here in Louisville, Kentucky. And mental health is really huge on myself as I battle with it. Personally, back in 2014, I lost my best friend and his girlfriend in a car accident that I was involved in. And since then, I've just used music as a way to connect with individuals and be able to tell my story and let people know that mental health is real and it is open to be able to open this conversation up for us to talk about and be comfortable with it. And in all community. So with Emily, like Emily said, coming up with the idea of Mindfest was like something that the community needed. It was something that the healing after the pandemic, we all still need the awareness, of what's going on in our community. So with the great team that we have, we wanted to create something that was, healing the community is what we call it. Something great, something passionate that we're all about. And it's just a great thing that's just come to life, and we're just so thankful for the community of the support, and we can be so more thankful. So, yeah.
Thank you, Emily and Faith. Appreciate that. Now we're going to hear from some of the other Mindfest team members. Amanda Villavases, Director of Mental Health, Lou, and a licensed marriage and family therapist. And then Laura Muir, a licensed professional clinical counselor and co-owner of Martin and Muir. Ladies.
Thank you. As the shortest member of the group, I will move this down a little. Thank you all for being here today. As Faith mentioned, at Mental Health Lou, we believe that community has the power to heal. And look at this team. Like, we're connected, but we're all coming from different parts of, different jobs, different backgrounds. Lauren and Renisha and I are the mental health practitioners in this group, and everybody else is a community advocate. And so I think that's just a really huge thing to identify and notice. And thank you to my team. So I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I also am the director of an organization called Mental Health Lou, which is a community mental wellness hub where we connect people to mental health resources in our community. And in the last 2 years, we've seen a significant uptick in people requesting mental health services, often people needing immediate services for trauma, crisis, grief, anxiety, especially around COVID anxiety, political anxiety, social injustice anxiety. We've seen a lot of that in the last few years. And we know these things existed prior, but our community has collectively experienced a trauma in the last 2 years. And we, as a collective group, felt like it was important to highlight the importance of mental health within the community and come together and not just say, let's normalize mental health, but let's celebrate taking care of ourselves. And so that's why we are pulling these resources from the community to bring them here to Roots and have them here on May 21st. And so some of the biggest things that people are talking about is burnout. And so we want to make sure that people know how to care for themselves. And we also want to really normalize that experience by having people come within the community and see that all these other people here are here because of mental health. And what's more normalizing than that, right? I'll throw it over to Lauren and Renisha.
I'm one of the taller ones, so I'll move it back up. No, so my name is Lauren Muir, and I'm one of the co-owners of Martin and Muir Counseling, and Renisha Martin is the other co-owner of Martin and Muir Counseling, and you'll hear from her next. But I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor. Renisha and I opened Martin and Muir Counseling in October of 2016 and worked together in the community, providing homeschool and community-based therapy services. So about 5 months prior to the pandemic and the death of Breonna Taylor, we expanded our team and hired several clinicians and case managers to work with us. So we thought we had this plan and everything was going great, and then the pandemic happened and everything changed. So we had to pivot, turn everything to telehealth, and the increase in referrals increased dramatically. So we were going from getting a couple of referrals a week to getting 5, 10, 15 referrals a day. And so it showed how much our community was affected. And we typically provide services to youth, adolescents, and young adults, primarily from West End Louisville and South End Louisville. One of the things that we noticed during the pandemic is we began to receive referrals from all over the city. It didn't matter if it was from Prospect, from Shawnee, from Valley Station, it was coming from all over. The other thing we began to see is more adults and older adults. So we talk about the stigma being different in older adults, that we usually don't see them talking about mental health or wanting to share their experiences of mental health. But people were coming to us that were 50, 60 years old and had these long decades of history of complex trauma. And so that was another shift as clinicians that we had to work through, seeing people that had these complex trauma that they had never discussed before. And so overall, I think just mental health we've seen, as the mayor mentioned, suicide rates are higher, divorce rates are higher, parents are burnt out from parenting, from working. We also see the kids now are back in the schools. They're trying to adjust. They haven't been in schools in several years. So behaviors in the school systems are higher. So overall, anxiety, depression, everything is on the rise, right? And people, even though we're starting to get back to somewhat of a normal, there's still the aftermath of everything we've experienced, especially here in our city over the past couple of years. And I'm going to turn it over to Renisha.
So the symptoms that a person should look out for when dealing with depression or anxiety is anything that's out of your normal. So if you're used to being around family, friends, being social, and then there's just a weekend like this derby, like, no, I don't want to do anything. And that's typically not you. That's a sign that you need to get help. If your sleeping patterns are changing, if you notice that you're sleeping more, sleeping less, appetite change, eating more or less, or anything that's a shift in your everyday activity, it's time to seek help. In the places that you can go, of course, Martin and Muir Counseling, Mental Health Lou is also a great place to get resources, because on that website, you can find clinicians that look like you and represent your community. And the importance of talking to someone, it's just to normalize and create universality within the mental health world, knowing that you're not alone and recognizing that everyone has something, everyone has a problem. When no one's perfect, the world isn't perfect. And since the pandemic, we can all say we are dealing with something in our life within the past 2 to 3 years. Something has changed, and that has affected your mental health. And recognizing that if it could just be a shift, and the importance of just everyone in the world, I feel, especially at this time, should have a therapist, that unbiased opinion, that person that doesn't have an opinion in your family, doesn't know the people you're talking about, and you can say those things that that you have been holding on to for so long throughout your life, the childhood traumas that you experience. And it's not to say, oh, well, I had both parents in my household, I'm okay, I'm fine, I can get through it. No, your trauma in your day-to-day is about you. It's not to be compared to anyone else. It isn't something that, oh, well, I can get through. Talk about it. Let other people know that you're not okay, that you are having irrational thoughts, and it's not abnormal. We should be able to talk about, our mental health the same way we talk about our physical health. If your child broke an arm, we're going to the doctor immediately. We're going to the ER. If your child says, I'm depressed, I'm not having a good day, we should treat it the same way. You should have a therapist on call the same way you have your pediatrician on call, your dentist on call, your best friend, and that should be part of your emergency contact list. So that's my spiel on ending the stigma of mental health and really normalizing and making it okay to not be okay. We're all suffering. We're all going through something. And as a community, that should be the common thing that brings us together to seek the help that we need and to get help. And it's a Google search away. We all know how to operate Google, YouTube. We can find the videos that we want. We can also find a therapist the same way that you're looking for a dermatologist, and doing that search and asking friends. That's the biggest referral source that you have, are asking your friends and other people, do you have a therapist? Is there someone that you talk to, or who do you go to when things are rough? And being able to network that way as well. And then I'm going to introduce Jasmine, and she will give you guys more information about our Bats Night this Thursday.
I'm Jasmine Presley. Thank you all for being here. So again, our mission with Mindfest Louisville is to break stigma surrounding mental health. So our goal is to create a fun way to raise mental health awareness. So we hope that you all can join us this Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. Mindfest Louisville has partnered with the Louisville Bats, and we will be there raising mental health awareness and having fun. So you can purchase the tickets online at mindfestlou.com, and a portion of those ticket sales goes back to Mindfest Louisville. Again, thank you guys so much.
Okay, and I want to just mention one other thing as well, and that is gun violence and the trauma that is impacted on that. If you're a victim, if your family's around it, we introduced a trauma-informed care approach in our city about 3 years ago. We got a nice $5 million grant from the federal government, and that's continuing to roll out by training people and families how to deal with trauma. And we're optimistic. We're starting to see some results on that. Shootings in the city are down about 30% right now, but homicides are about the same. And you might ask why. And the reason why is domestic violence homicides are up significantly this year. They're up about 100%. We've had 16 domestic violence homicides in our city so far this year. Domestic violence is not normal either. And for the kids that witness domestic violence, the type of trauma that's impacted on them is very serious. And so when you think about the source of anxiety, frustration, anger, whatever that leads to a domestic violence homicide, that is also something to be dealt with. So just like we're talking about resources for mental health issues, thoughts of suicide, I want to emphasize that same amount of attention be put on domestic violence issues, that if you're in or around a domestic violence situation, there is plenty of help. And it's another situation oftentimes where people feel like they're trapped and they can't get out because the world becomes very narrow because of all the anxiety that they're going through. So please reach out. Also, if you feel like you're in a domestic violence situation, you can see resources at louisvilleky.gov or much of the resources that are in our press release that will be coming out with this here today as well. So we can help each other. I mean, that's really what the point of a city is. We got people living together that can lift each other up to realize their full human potential. That's what the city's value of compassion is all about. But it's an action item, right? We got to act on these type of things to help each other. Now, we are really happy to be here. And as I mentioned earlier, Roots 101 is a great treasure for our city. It's where we are making this announcement today, where we're going to host Mindfest. And I'm really grateful that we have a wonderful partner for the city. So we're going to hear from Lamont Collins, the founder and CEO of Roots, who will explain why he thought it was important and why Roots should get involved. Lamont?
Good morning. I'm Lamont Collins, founder and CEO of Roots 101 African American Museum. Before I get started, if you ever came to the museum, the first thing I say to everyone is that legacies matter. And legacies do matter. And the legacy in the Black community is that we have not embraced mental health. So when this came up and I was involved, so many young people came to the museum doing Breonna Taylor. I watched the square go from festivities to a walking graveyard. I saw so many young people just lost, and hurt people hurt people. So getting involved with the mental health community was a no-brainer for me. You know, I say Roots 101 is a healing space. We pull back the wounds of America and treat the wounds. And it's no doubt mental health is something we have to treat. So having the opportunity to do this is something that we just have to do. And something that I know that we have a responsibility for at Roots 101, we sell t-shirts that says, make our ancestors proud. But we need to make sure we don't have a t-shirt that says, our descendants' worst nightmare, not treating mental health. So as Roots 101, we're proud to be part of this. We know we have to be part of this as we continue to make this community a better community. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Lamont. Appreciate you. Also, I think we should be aware that, you know, there's generational trauma as well. Trauma just doesn't stop and start when someone dies or when someone is born. And, you know, repeated trauma over decades and centuries adds up to all types of challenges as well. So we got a lot of work to do. But it's a great that we're focusing on it and that we're having this festival to help us learn more about ourselves and get to a better tomorrow. So just as I close out here, I want to provide some information that if you're struggling with mental health, know that help is out there. If you're thinking of hurting yourself or ending your life, you can text LOU to 741-741 or call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255 or call, that's the national number. We also have a list of other mental health resources at louisvilleky.gov on the Community Mental Health Services page. So be sure to check that all out. Now, before we hear from some of the fabulous Real Young Prodigies, I would like to present a proclamation to our Mindfest team. I really want to thank them. This came about through their own innovation, through their own proactive minds, and said, we need to do something. No government stepped in, no big company stepped in. These are just good citizens that are on the front lines of talking about mental health and said, we need to do something more. So this is what great citizenship looks like, and I'm really grateful that we have them here in our community. So this is the city of Louisville honoring Mindfest Day. Yeah, that's right. Okay. as we celebrate the importance of mental health in our community. The inaugural Mindfest will help break the stigmas surrounding mental health, connect families with mental health services, and provide a fun, family-oriented environment to educate people about mental health. Our city stands behind Mindfest's mission to promote a healthier lifestyle for all Louisvillians, both physically and mentally, and we encourage residents to take part in Mindfest and help educate others about the importance of keeping the mind healthy. So, Emily, to you and the team, great job. Well done. All right. Well, we're fortunate to have some great leaders in our community, the real young prodigies. Antonio Taylor, I want to thank Antonio as well. He's another great leader for us, serves on our Civilian Review Board. Yeah, I got his fan club with him. So are you gonna kick us off, Antonio, or you need to say anything, or? Okay. Well, the real young prodigies, straight from Boston, Massachusetts, and Harvard College. Come on up here. The real young prodigies.
How y'all doing today?
Hey.
And when we are put in these positions, so we need to look at the call. Grow out of these aspects. And to add on what Keyshawn has already said, when we are born into this world, people already put an image on us. We haven't put an image on ourselves yet. People already looked at us and put an image on us. And going on behind that puts a lot of stress on us. And that putting a lot of stress on us, that's a lot of built up feelings that we can't get out. And not only that, people hold us to a standard. We haven't held ourselves up to a standard when people put a standard on us. And when we can't reach that standard that people have put on us, that's a lot of built up stress that we can't release. And that's when outlets come in where it's great to talk about it. And you need to get those feelings out. And then if you don't get those feelings out, that can lead to a lot of things, such as gun violence, drugs, and that's a lot of things are happening now. And going on about that, yeah. So before we get started, we're going to use the hook to our song. When I say, well, I grew up there, I want to be gangsters. Well, I grew up there, I want to be bangers. Well, I grew up there, I want to be slingers. Y'all say, danger, danger, danger. So we're going to practice. Well, I grew up there, I want to be gangsters. Well, I grew up there, I want to be bangers. Well, I grew up there, I want to be slingers.
Danger, danger, danger.
And when I say, well, I grew up there, I want to be gangsters. Well, I grew up there, yeah, I know. Oh, I grew up there, I want to be gangsters. Why I grew up there, I want to be bangers. Why I grew up there, I want to be slingers.
Danger, danger, danger.
Why I grew up there, I want to be killers. Why I grew up there, I want to be dealers. Why I grew up there, I want to be stealers. This what y'all say, be realer, be realer, be realer, be realer. Why I grew up there, I want to be killers. Why I grew up there, I want to be dealers. Why I grew up there, I want to be stealers.
Gorilla, gorilla, gorilla.
All right, so we're going to get started. Why I grew up there, I want to be gangsters. Why I grew up there, I want to be bangers. Why I grew up there, I want to be slingers.
Danger, danger, danger.
Why I grew up there, I want to be killers. Why I grew up there, I want to be dealers. Why I grew up there, I want to be stealers.
Gorilla, gorilla, gorilla.
I didn't want to be gangster, bro. I had to start stealing for my family. We ain't have food. Where I'm from, it's like 9 of us to a bathroom. taking out my anger on my teachers in the classroom. Black brothers out here getting arrested just for selling that. Now they in the prison cell and they doing prison time. Officer, please listen to me. I know that he did the crime, but this is all the life we know that we were given to survive. Everybody want to be a trapper and a rapper, so I'm just the word like Malcolm X. That I'm not understand this reality, so I hope they can reality checks. Y'all showing us all the whole things. This is what all of our mental best. Where I grew up. But that all makes so fly flex. Why I grew up there, I want to be gangsters. Why I grew up there, I want to be bangers. Why I grew up there, I want to be slingers.
Danger, danger, danger.
Why I grew up there, I want to be killers. Why I grew up there, I want to be dealers. Why I grew up there, I want to be stealers.
Gorilla, gorilla, gorilla.
Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all. When I say young, you say prodigy, young, young.
Prodigies.
All right, thanks everybody for coming out. Any questions from the media? All right, thanks for covering us today. God bless everybody.
All right, hang on, guys, because I want to talk to Antonio and the boys about their trip to Harvard, which is really, really awesome. Hang on 1 second. Right behind you.
Hey, sugars,
Hey, you want to tell your son, John Cherry, how proud you are of him?
I am so proud of you, John Cherry. Not surprised one bit.
Not
And I
surprised
believe
one
this is
bit.
only the beginning.
Tell John Cherry congratulations,
Oh,
Lamont.
congratulations, John. Great job. Always a great job.
Aren't we happy for him? He's amazing. All right, let me go find the guys. I'm going to put this right here for just a second, okay?
How you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you, love? Hey. Let me get my boys. Get Antonio and. Hey guys, how you doing, man?
All right, how you doing?
I'm all right. I'm gonna just get the guys on camera to hear about their trip to Harvard, which is pretty exciting. Yeah. Sorry about the camera, you guys. I know you're getting seasick there with me for a minute.
Fine, I just want to get out of the way.
No, I'm still
Ready to
live. I'm
shot.
telling all the people who are watching not to throw up. All right. You got 2 seconds, you guys, for me? Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
it doesn't matter. I don't care.
Nah, it's
Talk to me a little bit about what happened. Please, teammate, get in there with me.
Oh no, let them please let them.
Okay, okay. So,
They get tired of me.
introduce yourselves and tell us what your last weekend was all about. This is pretty exciting.
All right, so I'm Keyshawn. I go by Lil Key, and I'm part of the Real Young Prodigies.
I'm Jariah, but I go by Juju, and I'm part of the Real Young Prodigies.
And we was recently at Harvard University for the Hip Hop X Lab conference, where Harvard grad students and the youth come together to show the power of hip hop in the classroom. And it was just such an amazing opportunity. We realized how much hip hop is more than just rapping and performing. It is an outlet. If like when you sit somebody in the classroom and we just sitting at the desk writing on a paper all day, that's not how everybody learns. When somebody's interested in hip hop, like put hip hop into their curriculum. When somebody want to be a doctor, relate everything your curriculum into doctor or like their medicine. What did you learn?
Well, I learned a lot of stuff. Not only did I learn new ways to create songs, but I also learned that hip hop is a way to more express yourself. Like you can make songs about problems that's going on in the world, but when you make songs, that's how you feel. That helps you a lot more. You releasing your energy, your stress, if you got depression going on, if you got family problems going on, you talking about it really helps you, and that helps people understand like not who you are, but what are you going through? Because a lot of people won't talk about it themselves, but so they'll write it out or rap it out.
And then hip hop is more than music. There is the breakdance element. There is the poetry element. There is it's just many different elements of hip hop. It's not just what we do, and it's not music. There's many different elements. We're not rappers. We're MCs, by the way.
Yeah,
we're not.
MCs.
We're
I'm going to
MCs.
show you guys. I'm going to demonstrate something to you. When I met Keyshawn in 2020, he was shorter than me, and now look at this guy. You guys have grown up into beautiful young men, and I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much.
Stay tuned with the Young Prodigy. Hey, I'm telling y'all gonna be surprised what happened next.
We up next, man.
Good job, you guys. Thank you. Oh my God, I love that kid so much. I love all of them. They're all amazing kids. They really are. And Roots 101, a fabulous place as well. Mayor's talking to a teammate. I'm going to walk away here because they're having a private conversation that I don't want to overhear on the microphones. And we will be out of here. You guys have a wonderful day. If you see John Cherry on the streets, please congratulate him on the amazing job that he did getting a Pulitzer Prize for his photography at the insurrection on January 6th of last year. Have a good one.